Okay, Mario Chet back again. And last time we were together, we talked about what it looks like to have it all. And that a very, very small percentage of people actually do have it all. 0.26% of people actually have what it takes to have it all statistically. So 99.74% of us are proverbially screwed. Then it's like, okay, what does it take for us to actually have it all? And that's what my life's mission has been for the last 20 years, is to figure out how to take that lightning in a bottle that you and I have experienced in some area of life, right? And now have it be in every area of life. How can we win across the board? How can we have it all? And so this is why we're in this conversation today. And so we're going to start out with one of the key principles, because some of you asked me, you said, okay, Mario, thanks for whetting my appetite. I'm ready. I want to know what it's going to take for me to win. Well, we're going to talk about that. I'm going to be doing a series on what it's going to take for you to win. And I've been using that same recipe for the last 10 to 15 years consistently. And I just keep getting better and better at it. And I'm hoping that you'll get better at it too. All right. So first off, guys, I'm going to start out with having you understand that there's a core concept behind everything that we're going to talk about that is going to give you access to everything else you want. Now, maybe you've heard it before, but I'm inviting you to take on a beginner's mind so that you can actually get what you came for, because you didn't come for information. You actually came for a transformation in the area of life that you want to have a shift. So the first thing up is you are already creating. The question is, what are you creating? All right. So this is a core truth. And you're already creating your life right now. The question is, what are you using your power to create? So imagine this, that you have this source of power that's running through you at all times. That's all human beings. So it is kind of a level playing field if you look at it, and to a certain extent. And then what happens is that you and I direct our life force, our energy, whatever it is, and we start creating life in a million different ways. Now, we could look at it from a multitude of different ways. They call it the reticular activating system. If you were to look at it from the world of psychology, we also could be looking at it from the observer effect. If we want to look at it from a physics standpoint, we could just find a lot of different ways. You know, how many times have you bought a car and you've seen that car over and over again? Well, that is something very interesting, because you are literally guiding your experience of life. Until you bought that car, you didn't see so many of it, and now all you do is see those kinds of cars, right? Well, you're actually directing your experience of life. You're creating your experience of life in that moment. So anyway, let's talk about creation. So first off, before I even do that, there was a time, I was doing everything I knew how to do. I literally was, I work. They told me, if you work hard, Mario, if if you're ambitious and if you're smart, then you can have anything that you want in this world. How many of you have heard that one? Yeah, that's not true, because you can work hard and still be broke, right? I proved that one for myself. You can be ambitious and see the world and be willing to give almost anything for it and still not find your way to the other side. So that is just a lot of us have been in that position. Well, I found myself in that position. I was a lawyer so I worked hard, yeah, and then turned into a trader, Trader. And I was trading the commodities markets and the currency markets, and I went all in. And I was doing pretty well. There was something that we called the carry trade, and it was making money for us during that time, and it was fairly easy. And then the market crash came. And there came a moment where I was supposed to know what to do, but I didn't know what to do, and I lost everything. And that had been always the way that it was, over and over and over again in my life, that I would do well and I'd reach this level of success, and then boom, I would drop down. It was like the other shoe had to drop, right? How many of you can have experienced some version of that, some pattern that doesn't even seem real? It's like, am I on the Truman Show? Is there a camera on me? Is there some cosmic joke that I happen to be the butt of? And that literally is what I felt like after getting to this level all over again, just to lose it all again. And at that point, it was like, something's got to give, man. Something's got to give. Around that time, I was also about to have my first son. I got two boys, and my boy was coming right after that, and I was not going to be able to take care of him. And I was like, okay, enough is enough. Life has got to change. And it's where I began to understand and take responsibility. It couldn't be about the markets anymore. It couldn't be about, the market makers, the people who are sitting up there, with their pressing the buttons and making the whole market turn, right? It couldn't be about anybody else. It had to be about me. And I needed to be in the discovery of what it was going to be that was going to have me be able to have a life that works. So that's when I began doing the kind of work that I do now. And what I discovered was that I had what we call a program around success. It was a limiting program, a self-sabotaging program around success that was literally creating me not getting what I want. Okay. And it was literally creating me finding myself right back in the same places all over again. So I would reach the top, and just like that program liked to do, because I work perfectly, there's nothing wrong with me, right? My machinery works perfectly. Then it would hit this point just like it's supposed to, and it would drop down, and that would be my life. And then I would try again, hope and pray and all that, and then hit that point again, and then drop back down again, and that was my life. And so I wanted it to look something like differently, right? And so this was not my life. It was not the way that it was meant to be. And so here's what I want you to understand. Base principles that we get to understand. If you take this on, then you and I are aligned, and we're probably on the right journey together. We're on a good journey together. And that's number one, that you and I are continuously creating, right? So there's power coming through us at all times. That you have a conscious mind, that you are consciousness, it means that you are actually creating experientially into the world. I'm inviting you to consider that. I'm not very woo-woo. I'm actually boots on the ground type of person. And what I'm going to tell you is that's what it looks like. So every human being creates all the time. You and I are creating right now. And we're going to talk about how you're going to create. Yeah, your thoughts, your emotions, your words, just the way that you walk through life. It's creating, and it's creating something right now. Your emotionality is actually aligning you to the reality that you want to be on or not. And so we're living into the frequency that's been given by that thing. So anyway, every human being is creating all the time. And so you either are creating a life that you love, or you're creating a life that causes you suffering. And I know both sides of it. I've created both. And so there is no neutral state. There is no creating something, right? There's that energy is going to do something. It's going to be pushed out into the world, and you and I are either creating what we want or what we don't want, and that's all there is to it. Now, here's the thing. When I got that for myself inside that conversation, guys, that changed everything for me. It literally did. Literally within a very short period of time, within less than a year, I went from being completely broke and not having any idea what I want to do to finding that one strategy. It was always there. I always had access to it. I had a suite of 100 strategies that I was deploying at the time. And there was this one strategy that was really better than everybody, all the other ones, but I couldn't see it because I wasn't the man who could see it. Yes. So all of a sudden, when I got this thing that was in the way, and I started using the methodology I'm giving to you right now, then all of a sudden it was very clear to me what I needed to do. And I could see that strategy for the first time that had always been there. I honed in on that strategy. I ended up making money with that strategy. I ended up turning that strategy into a algorithm, turned it into a software company, made software that supported traders just like myself, and made a lot of money with that as well. That happened. And so I went from dead broke to being able to find the one strategy that had always been there, to leveraging that strategy to go into the next level with what I was up to. And man, I tell you what, it was a change of life. And at that point, I was like, man, I got to know more. How can I do this again? What other areas of life can I do this in? And so I did. I went to the south of France just because I wanted to, and started living in the south of France in the port of Nice. And yes, niece is nice. And I started living my life on my own terms. But I was so addicted to this transformation stuff. I wanted to know how come I was able to produce that result and how can I do it again? How can I do it again and again and again? And that's what I've been obsessed with over the last 20 years now, almost 20 years now, is how do I actually produce this result? How do I take that lightning and put it in a bottle and make sure that it can be utilized over and over again to produce massive results for life? So here's another misconception. People believe that creation does not start by just getting positive or figuring things out. They believe that it starts by just getting positive. Like, you got to be positive, right? No, that's not it. Creation's always running, right? So creation starts with focus. Okay. Now, it actually doesn't. Like, you're creating all the time anyway, right? So it's like, whatever's there is actually giving you more of what you got. But you and I have an opportunity to create with focus. Focus is going to give us access. Now, focus follows intention. So we got to put it somewhere, and consciously chosen or not. So if you don't have, let's say that there's an area of life, let me put it this way. If there's an area of life that you know that you're not good at, and you don't have a focus on it, guess what? It's already running you, and you're going to get what you usually get. So if you're not good at relationships, and then you don't have some way to focus or create inside that area, then guess what? Your relationships are going to go the way of the dinosaur, the way that they always have. If you have never been good with money, and you just haven't, and then you don't have an actual focus, you don't have a creation, you don't have a something around it, then guess what's going to happen? Even if you made money, you'd lose it again anyway, because there's no focus, because your creation, the programming is going to have you focus on that which is going to lose that money and get you right back to the status quo, which is not having any at all. Yeah, so that's the impact of real focus, right? And so what happens is, I'm going to get right down to it. I have, done a lot of things since I've been started doing this work, inside of creating and teaching people how to create, but mostly for myself. Before I ever did that, I've only been doing this, helping people in this area, thousands and thousands of people in this area for the last 5 years or so, almost six now. We're going into year six. I started in COVID. And, but before that, I was doing it for myself. That means that I was using it to make money. I used it to become a world champion dancer. I used it to make a six-figure income as a dancer on the weekends just for fun. I used it to become the top of my field inside of the community and organization I was a part of, inside of making a difference for people transformationally. I've used it for a lot of things. I've used it to create millions of dollars in revenue, and to make a difference for myself and my family. I use it to get the love of my life, because that was never going to happen, because I was not designed to have relationships work, and my creative forces, the way that my focus goes, it goes toward not relationships not working if I'm not responsible for it. So this thing is super powerful that I'm giving you, and I really want you to get it, because that's why I'm spending my time with this here, because I know it's going to make the biggest difference for you. This is the thing. If I could get you to juice anything, it would be this. If there was anything that I wanted you to get, it would be this. So let's talk about it for a little bit. So here's what happens for most people. People focus, but they focus on the wrong stuff, right? So you're already doing something, right? So instead of saying, hey, I'm so tired of being broke, I hate being alone, or I can't stand how I look, you could go that way. And you could actually go the opposite way and say, hey, I'm going to make, $1 million, $1 million this year. Or I hate being alone. It could be like, yeah. And, by December 26th, I'm going to meet the love of my life, and I'm going to have created a life that I love. When I met my wife, she didn't want to have anything to do with me. Long story. You can watch some of my other videos, and I'll talk to you about that. But what I created was having a loving, nurturing, lifelong partnership where we did life every single day. And that was something that I wanted. And I created it with a timeline, because you have to put things in a timeline. If you don't, then the way human beings work is that we'll take forever to do them. So you have to give a deadline. Deadlines are very important for us energetically. Anyway, I made that deadline. I put that deadline on it, and 6 weeks later, we were back together. Relationship has moved forward. We do life together. Literally, I just came from having a morning meeting with her where we discussed our social media. By the way, check me out, Mario Che Real on Instagram. That's one of my channels, and it is something that we get to do together. We get to spend the entire day together in some, a lot of those days. And, when I'm not actually, saving the world, working with people individually, she's with me most of the time. And I'm grateful for that. But that was a creative phenomenon that was created years ago. And we live it every single day right now. So your complaint, instead of it being like, hey, I can't stand how I look, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna have a six pack, have my sexy summer body ready with X amount of body fat by blah blah blah. That's taking a complaint because we're complaining. Oh, I hate my life sucks, da 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 da, hate my job, like whatever it is that people say. Get done with that because that's not going to serve you. It's actually not routing your energy properly, and it's going to give us something that we really don't want. All right. So energy creates whatever it's given to. This is what's so. So your energy, the energy that God's given us, the energy that's coming through you is given, it creates whatever it's given to you. So if you direct your energy to what's not working, it's going to create more of what's not working. If you direct your energy to what is working, it's going to create more of what's working. So complaints multiply problems, and intentions will actually create and multiply your solutions in a life you love. Does that make sense? So consider that. Complaints multiply problems instead of solving them. So do not complain anymore. Take complaints off the table. Trust me, it's not easy. We are built to complain. Think about it. When you were a baby, you had to complain. If you had a wet diaper or you just didn't feel good, all you had to do was complain. All you had to do, "Ah!" And it wasn't like, then somebody had to figure out what was wrong with you so they could fix it. Hey, is it their diaper? Are they hungry? Do they have a rash? What's going on? They had to figure it out. Life doesn't work like that anymore. Nobody's trying to figure out why life doesn't work for us anymore, why we don't feel good. No, because we're adults and it's time for us to create whatever we want right now. And so inside of that, if a baby would have said, hey, can you please change my diaper? That would be the way to say it. Instead, the baby says, something's wrong. Figure out what's wrong. Something's wrong here. And when you can understand that mechanism that kept you alive as a baby continues to run your life, then you'll have power. And when we can turn that thing from complaints now to something creative, like actually intentional creation and intention, right? Then you will now be able to transcend all the drama and the BS that most people are living into. Period, my friends. All right, so cool. Let's go deeper into understanding complaints. So complaints are hidden intentions, right? Behind complaints are powerful positive intentions. And so, like I said before, so instead of I'm tired of being broke, what it really means is I have $1 million and I make six figures per month. I have $1 million in a bank and I make six figures per month, right? How about that? That would be a great intention, right? Why not? Or I'm lonely is what they'll say, or I'm all alone, or whatever it looks like. I don't have a man, I don't have a relationship, right? And instead of that, it's like I have a loving, supportive relationship with a beautiful human being who appreciates me. Yes, that's all that would be. You could create that, and then all of a sudden that will come into your experience, right? Or I hate how I look. This is what people do. They just look at themselves, I hate how I look. Or they could transform that and say, I have a strong, sexy body that is vital and has X amount of body fat, right? Just to create it in a very definitive, clear, and precise manner, right? And so that's what you would do. So instead of the complaint, inside of every complaint, guys, by the way, for your partners as well, if you have a partner or you have a boss, even when they're telling you that you're a no good jerk and you don't care about anybody but yourself, what they really want to say is, hey, I want partnership, I want teamwork. That's what they're saying. So for all human beings, inside of every complaint, there is a pure intention. That's what I want to say. And you can quote me on that. All right. So what there is there's a misalignment. People focus on absence, what's missing, instead of aiming at the intention. What do I actually want? right? And because of that, they're actually filling up this creative space of their lives with something's wrong here. And that something's wrong here is going to give them more of something's wrong here. And life delivers what focus is placed on, period, my friends. Focus is what allows us to route that energy, and we may or may not be using it in the right or wrong ways. I wasn't certainly using it in the right ways, I'm going to tell you, and sometimes I still don't. And that's why, honestly, the better I get at it is the more life continues to give me what I want. I have a beautiful relationship with a beautiful woman. I've got a six pack and a healthy body, thank God. I have two beautiful sons, and I have a life that I absolutely love. I'm doing exactly what I want to do in my life, right? And it's a created life, and so that is something that I'm grateful for. And there's so much more that I could get to, and I'm going to continue to refine these skills I have over the last 15 years. Hopefully, with my help, you can go faster, all right, and get there faster and produce more results. Now, I was producing results fast. The question is, can I produce those massive, ridiculous results, as quickly as I possibly can without anything unencumbered? Really, technically, theoretically, what I know to be true is there are moments where I produce results that were supposed to take years, and I produce them in a in a contracted period of time. I know it's possible. Now, the thing about it is, as I get better at these principles, those moments and those achievements start happening faster, and I start collapsing time. Does that make sense? And so that's what I want for you. And that's why these principles are exactly what I want you to focus on. So, key principles: what you focus on expands, that's period. What you emotionalize becomes real. So, you got to feel it in your body, and people don't do this. This is one of the things that you get to do. So, I want you to create an intention, but I want you to create an intention and I want you to emotionalize it. If it doesn't give you and light you up, it's not it, my friends. That's just it, right? So, we have to emotionalize it for it to be real. And what you consistently intend, what you constantly are focusing on and emotionalize it, you actually create it in life. Okay. And this is the owner's manual of being human. It's not just a philosophy, and it's actually what I teach my people. I teach them the full owner's manual of the human being, which means how to master this over here where I am, this human being that I am, and also how to be with human beings and press their buttons and help them create what wants to be created out here in the world as well. All right. So suffering is not due to being broken. So you're not broken. I got good news for you. It's not because you're broken while you're dealing with all this suffering. Okay. You're out of alignment. I'm telling you 100%. There's not an alignment between what you say you want and actually what you're focusing on. That's just, if I were to put it that way, it's just purely that. Suffering is happening because creative power is pointed in the wrong direction, period. Right. And so by redirecting creative power, we can change everything inside of your life. You can produce massive results that you never thought you'd ever be able to produce in your life. And that, my friends, is the whole shebang. So I'm looking forward to continuing this conversation. And, we'll have more stories because I literally have helped thousands of people to produce results that were not possible. Now, I'm giving you just a little bit of framework that we can look at here. And I want you to consider is we're gonna call it see it, choose it, do it. And it's just this is a light framework, so it's very easy for people to grasp here. So that's what we're going to use it. So I want you to notice one complaint you repeat often. So you got to see that. All right. So see it. You got to see what you're actually doing. See it. Write it down exactly as you say it. So there's one complaint that you have. There's something that's showing up in your life over and over again. Let's get present to that thing and let's just now move it out of the way. Just get present to it. Okay. Write it down exactly as you say it. All right. Then next is, if this complaint disappeared, what would I want instead? Right. So if you didn't have the complaint, can we transform it? What's really the big thing that we want inside of it? Well, guess what? It's an intention. And so now you get to choose that intention. What's the actual thing you want? When someone says, hey, you're selfish, all you care about is yourself, they really say, hey, I really want teamwork and partnership, and I want to know that you got my back. That's what they really want to say. When I remember my wife used to say to me, she used to say, hey, you never take me to the beach anymore. This is like me coming out of the office at 10 hours of work, after working for 10 hours. I'm just like, oh, no matter what I do, it's never enough. That's what I would go to. And then of course I have the owner's manual of the human being, and I just go, and I'd say to her, I said, look, I really got that you want to spend more time with me and you miss me. I miss you too. And let's make time. And so we would schedule it and we would actually make it happen. So just kind of get the world of it. If I can, you can take that complaint and turn it around for yourself. There's something that you're saying, like you don't like the way that it is. Maybe you feel like you're working too hard. Okay, then what does it look like to, how many hours do you want to work? How much is that? And how much time, how much money do you want to make while you do that? I used to work in a 24-hour, 5.5 day a week market. I was working a lot. I was spending a lot of time working, and I made up my mind and I had an intention. And the intention was, I want to work for, I think I said 20 hours. I was working like 100 hours a week. And I was like, I would just want to work for 20 hours a week. That's what I created. And I actually ended up working 4 hours a week and making more money. Does that make sense? So yeah, you can create anything you want. At first, it was like, oh, I'm working too hard. That was the complaint. And then it was like, okay, what do you really want to do? Well, I want to work for 20 hours a week and make more money. Right? So when I actually did that, then I was able to produce the results that I wanted to. So it was an intention that got created. And then lastly, it's like when you write that intention in one clear sentence, then what I want you to do is, it's going to be, I have $1 million, make 6 figures by, or whatever it's going to look like. Then you're going to read the intention aloud morning and night for 7 days and declare it confidently, not as a wish or begging. And you're going to take an action. You got to do something. You got to take an action inside of it, right? That's what's actually missing here. And you got to feel it. By the way, when you declare it confidently, that confidently, it really wants to say you're going to emotionalize it. See, because it's not confident if you're not emotionalize it. That's what I really want you to do. Emotionalize it, right? You got to emotionalize it. Now, some of you will not be able to emotionalize some of these things because you already have programming that's already there that says you can't have it, right? But you're going to be able to emotionalize it in pieces, and it's going to take a little bit, but you have to work on it. So declare it confidently, emotionalize it, right? And I want you to take an action, right? Because that would actually make a difference if you took an action inside of it, right? So that's it. That's what we're going to do here. And so let me just tell you this, okay? You're already a creator. You already are. Choice is between creating by default or by design. So either you're creating by default, meaning that there's a way that you've been programmed that keeps on creating more of the same reality, or you're going to do it by your own design. You're going to create it by your own intention and by your own conscious thought and desire. And that's what I'm giving people the choice of inside of my programs. Are you going to, is it going to be your default way? Because we don't even know when we're on default. And then on the other side, or is it going to be a creation by design, right? It's going to be by my design. And so this work is about choosing the by design portion of it that gives you access to an entire life that you love. Life responds differently once you choose intentionally. Trust me on this, right? Life responds differently once you choose intentionally. All right, with that being said, the next video is why the brain fights your intention. So in the next one, we're going to talk about specifically what's stopping you. When you get that video, what's going to happen is it's going to free you up so that you can more powerfully create your intention than you ever thought before, because there's something that you are designed for. We've got to give you the design of the brain so that you can actually now set it free. Does that make sense? So with that being said, thank you. I hope this was useful. It was for me. It definitely was a good refresher for myself. I'll see you in the next one.